G'day, I'm B-Agent Dad. Hopefully you're doing very well, keeping healthy and safe. And today, we're going to look into this Intel NUC 11 Extreme, also known as Beast Cannon. Now this is a gaming desktop computer, as you can see from all the fancy lights, and I can't say bad about it because I do like the front design of this, and it's LED lights, and it's got underbelly LED lights as well. Now you can actually configure that in the Intel software once you get into Windows. And as you know from my channel, I mostly look at workstation class desktop. Now this could be converted to a workstation class desktop computer. I'll tell you a little bit on that later on. Now, I have looked at its predecessor, which is the Intel NUC 9 Pro, also known as Quartz Cannon. And if you haven't seen that video out, I'll put a link in the description below. You'll see the little link there. Now, that one is NUC 9, and it's gone to NUC 11. So what happened to 10? I'll tell you what's happened. With this NUC 11, what's in here is the 11th gen Intel Core processor. And that's just to help people to understand that it's actually got 11th gen processors, just so you get the naming scheme matching with the actual product of this computer. That makes it easy. So we skipped the 10th gen Intel Core. That was pretty on the meh side of things because it runs quite hot, but the 11th gen's a lot better. So that's good to see. They put the latest gen Intel Core here. This Intel NUC 11 Extreme was sent to me by Intel in this crazy wooden box. Now, more than likely, this production model of the NUC 11 Extreme won't be in this box because it's actually quite heavy to ship, and it's actually quite heavy to move around. So more than likely, it will be in cardboard in the production model. When I unboxed this Intel NUC 11 out of this box, I was actually blown by the size of this. Now, the previous one, which was NUC 9 Pro, was a 5-liter sort of desktop computer. This has now grown to an 8-liter desktop computer. Now, when I saw it, I was like, wow, that looks like an eGPU or external graphics card. And pretty much that's what it is. What they've done is actually made room for larger size graphics cards. So you can put a full size graphics card in this. There are certain limits to it, but you can put some really powerful graphics card in this NUC 11 Extreme now, which is great to see. And this is where I get back to the workstation class. You can put in a Quadro or the Radeon Pro into this NUC 11 Extreme. It does have the capacity for putting those on, or you can put in one of those crazy powerful gaming cards in it, like the RTX 3060, 3070, or 3080. Let's have a little ports. Starting on the front, we got two USB 3.1 Gen 2 ports. Then we've got full-size SD card reader, and then we've got the headphone audio combo jack. Looking at the back, starting on the compute unit side, we've got 6 USB 3.1 Gen 2 ports. They're Type A ports. Ethernet port. Now this is 2.5 gigabits full-size HDMI, which is version 2.0B. 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports, which is USB Type-C ports. And then on the RTX 3060 Ti card, we've got 3 full-size display ports and a HDMI port. And we got the security lock slot as well as the power socket. What's different about the NUC compared to a normal desktop computer? Now the NUC has a compute unit, which actually is kind of like a mini computer by itself. It's like a motherboard with the processor, memory, and the hard drive built in one area, and also has the ports as well. And so what the idea of the NUC is, you can actually interchange them and upgrade them later on by slotting into the existing case. And it does have like a daughter board that you can actually put it in, and that's the idea. Now, I don't have the NUC 9 Pro with me at the moment, so I don't know if you can actually upgrade the NUC 9 with the 11th gen NUC compute unit or the other way around. So I don't know if they're interchangeable because I don't know that. Hopefully one of the other reviewers who actually have both in time will be able to tell you that. So let's have a look at the NUC 11 Extreme compute unit. So it's got a nice design here. I like how they carried out the skull design here, and it is held in by 2 screws on the top. I've just undone them. So this is just a fan assembly. So I'm just going to lift that up, And before I move this away, we'll just look at underneath the fan assembly, of course. And I can see there are 3 thermal pads, which probably more than likely correspond to 3 M.2 slots. So we're going to have to put this to the side. And again, there it is. So we've got 1 primary M.2, and then I can see another 2 more right here. And they can take the 2280. And right here is the Wi-Fi module, and the processor lives right underneath this heat sink. So you'll see that goes all the way up here. And then we've got 2 SODIMM slots for the RAM. We also have the CMOS battery right here as well. Looking at the underside of the NUC 11 Extreme, we've got an access door at the bottom, which is held in by a Phillips head. And just lifting this access door up, we can see another slot of M.2. So you can have a total of 4 SSDs in this NUC 11 Extreme. There is one part of this design in the NUC that I'm not too sure I'm actually enjoying. And this I actually also found in the NUC 9 Pro, in the Quartz Cannon. And that is the actual Wi-Fi connectors. It's actually quite annoying with these connectors here. I would have thought that Intel might have looked at it to try and put this through the PCIe slot. But these connectors are, especially in this Extreme, it's even more difficult, is that when these are plugged in, they're plugged in quite hard, and you do need to find yourself a little flathead screwdriver you have to come from the other side to actually jam it in and then hopefully pop it out without having to destroy this cable. It's actually a really thin cable. I can see from the next previous person who nearly jammed this thing out, but this is not a very, very nice connector, and they don't give you that much of cable really. So it would be nice if they give you much more longer cables so you can actually take this thing out without having to disconnect this too hard. But they have made this quite a short cable to make it nice and neat. I've seen they've put nice tracks along, but the cable itself is actually quite tight fit. As you can see, it's just barely even, so you haven't got much room to move. So they're very easy to damage this cable here. I like to see them actually rotate it to somewhere else, or move that along, or just go through some sort of other cable here that doesn't require to be here. I just think it should be a much better idea, that's all. 650 watt power supply. So let's have a look at the PCIe power cables that comes with this 650 watt power supply. So we've got a right angle 8-pin PCIe power, that's on one rail, and then we've got on the second rail, we've got 2 8-pin, of course they're split into 6 plus 2 PCIe rails, so that's a total of 3 of these 8 pins for any graphics cards that actually require that much power. So that's nice to see. In terms of the size of the graphics card you can install onto this NUC 11 Extreme, just looking perpendicularly down from this ruler, just to give you a bit of idea, I would say it will comfortably put in, or just put in, a total length of a graphics card around about 30 centimeters. And in terms of thickness, you're looking at around about 3 centimeters in thickness for the graphics card to be put into this GPU slot. Now, I do have RTX 3080 and RTX 3090. Unfortunately, they're too thick to fit into this particular slot here, so I'm unable to test this out. You can see that we've got enough PCIe power, but unfortunately it cannot physically fit in. I have seen them fit in from other videos that people have put in 3080 cards in this, which is great to see, but there is option for a 3060 and 3070 in the configuration for this. As for the temperatures and fan noise of the NUC 11 Extreme, when I took the measurements, my ambient temperature was 24 degrees Celsius and my ambient room noise was 38 decibels. So I put the computer on 100% load, and pretty much for the fan noise, it hit a maximum of 46 decibels. And the internal core temperature for the processor was averaging around about 86 degrees Celsius. So having a look at the 46 decibels isn't crazy loud. You do hear it a little bit, and it's only a low pitch sort of fan airing sound more than a high pitch whine. So that's not bad at all. So this can happily sit on your desk and you won't be annoyed by the sound of the fan. But more than likely, you probably have some headphones on and then you won't really hear this at all, even if it's screaming card. Now, if you do put a 3080 card in there, then more likely you will hear that quite a bit because the 3080 cards have run the fans a lot more higher speeds. Here are the benchmarks for this NUC 11 Extreme. This one's configured with an i9 11900KB processor with 16 gigs of RAM and 512 gig SSD, and also RTX 3060 Ti. So I'll put up the scores for Pass Mark, Citybench R23, PC Mark, 3D Mark, Crystal Disk Mark, Blender, Pugin Photoshop, Pugin Lightroom, Pugin After Effects, Pugin Premiere Pro, Pugin DaVinci Resolve, MATLAB 2020B, and Spec View Pref. And some gaming benchmarks like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Far Cry New Dawn, and Immortal Phoenix Rising. Overall, I like what they've done with the NUC 11 Extreme, moving from a 5 to an 8 litre chassis so we can put more powerful graphics cards in this NUC 11. If you're a gamer and you're trying to put RTX 3000 series graphics card, you more than likely have to find a slimline version or one that resemble with the thermal solution of the Founders Edition. And as for the workstation class graphics cards, that's not going to be issued because most workstation class graphics are 1.5 PCI slot thickness anyway. So you can put your heart's content, more than likely it'll be able to fit the RTX A6000 in there. And also any of the AMD Radeon Pros will happily put in this as well. I do hope that we'll be able to upgrade this NUC 11 Extreme with a 12th gen compute unit. If that is released in the future, I'd like to see that will be able to fit in that. Overall, I have good hopes for that. Anyway, I hope you find this video informative or enjoyed it. If you did, even to support my channel, smack that like button for me. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, but hit that subscribe button on the bottom screen. I do drop a lot of new video every week. And of course, I've got the members area as well. And I hope you'd like to support me. You can join up now. I will try to be more active in the members area. And as always, imperfections in life makes it beautiful and interesting. And I'll see you next video.